Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? This is getting ridiculous. This is really getting ridiculous. And I cannot believe Gennady Golovkin's team would fix their mouth to even say something like this to the public. Gennady Golovkin just recently said he no longer cares about the belts. He doesn't care about unifying the belts anymore. He said because a lot of times people that have belts are not even the best, and he wants to fight the best. Now, despite that being a hypocritical statement by Gennady Golovkin, that's not even the worst part. Abel Sanchez, Gennady Golovkin's trainer, he just made a shocking admission. He said even if Canelo loses to Danny Jacobs, Canelo is still the fighter that they want next. Canelo is still the front runner. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and quote exactly what he had to say. Quote, as Gennady said, this is not about the belts. This is about fighting the best that are out there. And by the way, it's a good thing that Abel Sanchez is using Gennady Golovkin's words and saying just like Golovkin said, because this proves that Golovkin is co-signing every single thing that Abel Sanchez is saying right now. So Abel, he continues by saying, if Danny Jacobs beats Canelo, then Canelo is still the front runner to fight Golovkin, because I think the two fights prior to that calls to that. Regardless of what happens in the fight, Canelo is the fight for Golovkin in September. If given the choice between those two guys, Canelo is the fight that's going to happen regardless. End quote. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this statement makes Gennady Golovkin look like the biggest joke in the sport of boxing right now. Hands down. The question is DAZN going to even allow Gennady Golovkin to get away with stuff like this? Because unfortunately, everything that I've been telling you guys about Gennady Golovkin has been coming to fruition. How does that make any logical sense when Golovkin says he wants to fight the best, but yet, if Danny Jacobs beats Canelo, then he does not want to fight the best. He would rather fight the loser. Who says something like that? Who goes after the loser in a tournament, right? You know, my biggest fears with Golovkin signing with DAZN is that he would continue to cherry pick his opponents the way he was able to when he was with HBO. And now it's starting to look like he's planning on doing the exact same thing with DAZN. While everyone else is facing tough competition, Canelo is willing to fight Danny Jacobs. Demetrius Andrade and Charlo, they're willing to fight all of them. Danny Jacobs, he already said that he wants the Golovkin rematch if he beats Canelo Alvarez. So while all the other middleweights are willing to fight each other, Gennady Golovkin, he really doesn't want to fight anyone other than Canelo, because Golovkin, he feels that Canelo is the weakest link out of all of those opponents. And that is a fact. I mean, when some of these Golovkin fans, they say, oh, well, Golovkin is getting old right now. Once again, ask yourself, if Golovkin is getting old, why does he still have confidence that he has a chance against a Canelo? But right now, he doesn't want to fight a Demetrius Andrade, a Charlo, or a Danny Jacobs in a rematch. Like I said, guys, everything I've been telling you on my channel is coming to light right now. I've been telling you guys for quite some time that Golovkin and Canelo's safest opponents are against each other. And Canelo, he corroborated that when he said a couple weeks ago that Danny Jacobs is more well-rounded and a more complicated fight than a Gennady Golovkin fight. And now in return, you have Gennady Golovkin saying even if Canelo loses to Danny Jacobs, he would rather fight Canelo than fight Danny Jacobs in a rematch. I told you guys, when Golovkin fought Danny Jacobs the first time, the perception was Danny Jacobs did not have a chin because he had been knocked out before. So it was kind of like Danny Jacobs, he went off script and he made that one of Golovkin's toughest fights, when it was supposed to be another Willie Monroe type of opponent, or performance, if you will, for Gennady Golovkin. But it didn't work out that way. In fact, a lot of people believe that Danny Jacobs actually beat Gennady Golovkin. Boy, I'm telling you, that Hope Insurance is something else, because it covers everything. I'm telling you, it covers everything. Because if you really think about it, fans should really be going in on Gennady Golovkin. I don't even care if it's a diehard Gennady Golovkin fans. Fans should be going in on him because fans want to see the best fights in the world. But when it comes to Gennady Golovkin fans, even they don't have confidence in their own fighter. Because if you read the comments, you hear these guys all the time saying stuff like, oh no, I don't want to see him fight against Charlo. I don't want to see him fight against Andre. Oh, but he'll beat him. But they don't want to see it though. Because they don't have confidence in him. And because they are so afraid of Golovkin losing to someone on the coincidental list. A Danny Jacobs, an Andre, a Charlo. See, they don't mind if he loses to Canelo because he's on the hope list. Don't get me wrong. They would be a little upset if he lost to Canelo, but nowhere near as heartbroken as they would be if he lost to someone like Charlo or Danny Jacobs, Andre, etc. Right when DAZN was starting to build momentum, you got Golovkin that comes along, and now he's attempting to do DAZN and boxing fans a huge disservice. Guys, this is just offensive on so many levels. How do you sit over here? Think about this for a second. First, Golovkin, he signs with DAZN, right? His goal is to fight Canelo in the third fight. Canelo has no problem fighting Gennady Golovkin in the third fight should he get past Danny Jacobs. Now, Canelo, he has to get past an opponent that he believes may be tougher than Gennady Golovkin. While Gennady Golovkin, he gets to cherry pick his first fight in this deal that he signed with DAZN. It's already been confirmed that Gennady Golovkin, he will not be fighting the WBO middleweight champion, Demetrius Andrade, and he's going to take a very soft touch in his first fight. Matter of fact, one of the opponents they're actually looking at is a guy by the name of Kamil Zermaretta. The guy has 19 wins and 4 knockouts. 4 knockouts. Now, there's no guarantee that Golovkin is going to fight this guy because it's not official yet. But if he does decide to fight this guy, that's like putting a pit bull in a dog fight with some mutt that's not a pit bull, and then putting a muzzle on the mutt so he has no chance at all. I mean, my point is, when you have opponents like the middleweight champion of the world, Demetrius Andrade, you have Sergey Derevyevchenko, you have Billy Joe Saunders, why would you want to fight someone like a Camille whatever? And why should someone like Golovkin be allowed to do something like this? Once again, man, DAZN, they need to step up and they need to do something about this. If Gennady Golovkin is going to take a soft touch in his first fight, that's one thing. But to take a soft touch and then say, if Danny Jacobs beats Canelo, I want to fight the loser, I don't want to fight the winner. Is DAZN going to allow him to get away with this? In all the years of boxing, I have never in my life seen a boxer do something like this, or even attempt to do something like this. I've never seen it before. Matter of fact, by way of contrast, I remember when Tim Bradley, when he was still undefeated and he was considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, after he beat Manny Pacquiao, and Pacquiao had actually turned down the rematch, Tim Bradley, he started, of course, going after other fighters. At this time, Brandon Rios was still undefeated. Matter of fact, Brandon Rios, he had just beat Mike Alvarado. And Bob Arum, he told Tim Bradley, I want you to fight against Mike Alvarado. And I'll never forget this. Tim Bradley, he said, why are you trying to give me the loser? I want to fight the winner. Since these Golovkin fans love comparing Triple G to Floyd Mayweather, do you guys know that almost everyone that Floyd Mayweather beat, when he fought them, they were coming off of their biggest win of their career? And here Golovkin is saying that he wants to fight the loser. Look, guys, it would be different if Gennady Golovkin, he went ahead, like let's just say, and once again, we don't know if Danny Jacobs is going to beat Canelo. In fact, I'm kind of leaning towards Canelo because if the fight is close, I believe there's no way Danny Jacobs is going to get a fair shake if the fight is competitive. I believe if Danny Jacobs were to win 7 rounds to 5, to where he clearly won 7 rounds to 5, they're going to give it to Canelo. He would have to damn near win 9 rounds to 3 or 10 rounds to 2 or knock Canelo out to get a fair shake. That's what I truly believe. So I'm leaning towards Canelo in that fight. I'm hoping Danny Jacobs doesn't get robbed. I'm hoping we don't see a controversial ending, but that's just the way it is in a lot of Canelo fights, or in all of Canelo's fights. There's always one judge that turns in a shocking scorecard. But with all that being said, if Danny Jacobs were to beat Canelo Alvarez, it would be different if Golovkin, he went after Danny Jacobs because he's fighting against the winner, and he beats Danny Jacobs, then he says, I want that third fight with Canelo. That would make all the sense in the world. And in fact, if you look at the history of boxing, that's usually how it plays out when it comes to trilogies and rematches and stuff like that. You guys have to also realize that if Canelo were to lose to Danny Jacobs, especially depending on how he loses to Danny Jacobs, his stock will plummet. I'm not saying he won't be a star or he won't be a big attraction anymore, but his reputation will definitely take a hit. Oh, and guess what? If Danny Jacobs were to beat Canelo Alvarez, Golovkin would get a huge payday to fight Danny Jacobs in a rematch. And if you don't believe me, ask Eddie Hearn. So Golovkin has no excuse to avoid Danny Jacobs. I mean, this is criminal. This is an unjust act by Golovkin right now. I'm telling you guys. And I don't give a damn how mad these Golovkin fans get. I'm gonna keep telling your ass the damn truth. Especially the racist Golovkin fans. I already told y'all I don't want y'all on my channel, but if you gonna keep watching, I'm gonna keep giving your ass the truth, so you could go ahead and keep crying. I'm telling you, the stuff that some of these fans do, it never ceases to amaze me. The irony that you can have a fan that can be American, but always goes against his own country. He always goes against the American fighter because that American fighter happens to be black. But then when it comes to a foreigner from a different country, because he's not black, then these ignorant fans, they have the nerve to ask you to give their favorite fighter special treatment after they done threw Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, the Charlo brothers, Tank Davis. They done threw all them fighters under the bus. But yet they beg for us not to tell the truth when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. You decals done lost y'all damn mind. Y'all done lost y'all damn mind. I told you, the thing about the UK, that's what I love about the UK boxing fans. And I truly believe they are the best boxing fans, hands down. Because when you go over there to the UK, those fans, they support their countrymen no matter what color the fighter is. Anthony Joshua filling up arenas, it doesn't matter who he fights. He's filling up arenas and they are loyal to him. There were times when David Haye was fighting complete tomato cans and he still had an arena full of fans chanting his name. When Kell Brook fought against Gennady Golovkin, that was the first time I ever heard fans boo Gennady Golovkin in favor of cheering for their countryman, Kell Brook. But when it comes to American fans, it is the complete contrary when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. Because when Golovkin fights against an American over here, the fans are cheering for the visitor and they're booing the American. But once again, these are the fans that want me to not tell the truth and take it easy on criticizing Gennady Golovkin. Oh, but they don't have no problem with me criticizing black fighters like Anthony Joshua and Sean Porter, which I have done, Keith Thurman, and the list goes on and on. Oh, they don't care about them because they're black, they're expendable. Well, if you think you're gonna get spoiled on this channel, somebody done seriously lied to your ass. I'ma keep hitting your ass with the truth. That's all I got is nothing but the truth over here. Gennady Golovkin is the most overrated fighter of this generation, hands down. I tell you guys all the time, a lot of fans, they throw out words just to discredit a fighter that they don't like personally. And they do that so often, they forget the definition of the actual word. When it comes to being overrated, there is no fighter today that has been rated as high as Gennady Golovkin and did not deserve to be rated that high. There's no other fighter. Like I told you guys, ESPN has rated Gennady Golovkin as top 25, one of the greatest fighters in the last 25 years, pound for pound. They have him as number 2, one of the greatest middleweights in the last 25 years. I mean, look at the moves that Gennady Golovkin is making right now. And Gennady Golovkin's own trainer, he even admitted to me when I interviewed him. He said when it comes to Golovkin, it's not about legacy, it's about making money. That's what Abel Sanchez said to me in the interview I did with him. And then you fast forward to today, you have Golovkin and Abel Sanchez saying they don't care about belts, they just want to fight the best. But yet, if Canelo loses to Jacobs, they still want to fight Canelo. So how are you fighting the best if Canelo were to lose to Danny Jacobs? It's just contradiction after contradiction. Don't get me wrong, guys. Once again, I am really hoping it's a 6-fight deal that Gennady Golovkin has. I believe he will have to. It will be a hell of a magic act for Gennady Golovkin to avoid fighting the likes of Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, Daniel Jacobs, BJ Saunders. For him not to have to fight any of those guys, if he did pull that off, that would be a major disservice to the boxing fans. And you Gennady Golovkin fans, even you should call out Gennady Golovkin. Just like Canelo Alvarez fans, at least the ones from Mexico, not the Mexican-American fans. But just like Canelo Alvarez fans from Mexico, they called out Canelo, they called out their own fighter, and they pressured him to take the Edeslani Lara fight because Lara was calling him out aggressively. This is the same thing that Golovkin fans should do. Instead of you posting comments saying, oh, Golovkin will kill Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, he'll kill them all. Instead of you posting that on the internet, why don't you go on to Golovkin's Instagram, his Twitter, and say, Golovkin, you need to fight these guys. I'm a big fan, I'm a big supporter, but you have to fight these guys. We want to see you fight Demetrius Andrade, Danny Jacobs, Charlo, BJ Saunders. That's what you do if you truly believe that Golovkin beats those fighters. I'm gonna wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.